Welcome to our program, Middle East Briefing. Today, we dive into the escalating tensions surrounding North Korea's military support for Russia, as Kim Yo-jong dismisses Ukrainian President Zelensky's claims of complicity in the war as absurd. This rhetoric not only strengthens North Korea's ties with Russia but also raises alarms about potential conflict escalation as missile launches and nuclear production ramp up. In another significant development, Israel has initiated a limited ground operation against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, named Northern Arrows. This operation comes as a response to increased military pressure and the recent killing of Hezbollah's leader, raising concerns about a broader regional conflict. As airstrikes and artillery support the ground raids, the situation remains tense with the potential for further escalations. Lastly, we highlight the emotional story of a Belfast mother, Catherine Flanagan, who fears for her toddler son stranded in Lebanon amidst the ongoing violence. Despite a UK court order for his return, her concerns seem to have fallen on deaf ears as the UK government urges its citizens to evacuate. The plight of families caught in conflict zones is a stark reminder of the human cost of geopolitical tensions. Please stay tuned for more detailed coverage. South China Morning Post: North Korea has reacted sharply to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's claims that it is acting as a de facto accomplice in Russia's war against Ukraine. Kim Yo-jong, sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, dismissed these accusations as absurd and a reckless political provocation. Zelensky's remarks, made during a UN Security Council meeting, highlighted North Korea's alleged provision of arms to Russia, which were reportedly used against Ukrainian civilians. In a show of solidarity with Russia, Kim Yo-jong emphasized that if Zelensky's logic were to be followed, the US and its allies should also be considered accomplices for their military support to Ukraine. Analysts suggest that North Korea may be using these comments to justify an increase in military support for Russia, particularly after the signing of a treaty between Kim and Putin that promises mutual assistance. Yahoo US: Israel has officially initiated a limited ground offensive against Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon, marking a significant escalation in the ongoing conflict between the two entities. The Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, announced that these targeted operations are based on precise intelligence and aim to neutralize immediate threats to Israeli communities. This move comes after a year of near-daily cross-border strikes and follows intensified military actions, including airstrikes that reportedly killed Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah. Defense Minister Yoav Gallant indicated that the goal is to ensure the safe return of Israeli citizens to their homes, while also preparing for a broader military engagement if necessary. The potential for an expanded conflict raises concerns about wider regional implications, especially involving the US and Iran. Japan Times: the situation in Lebanon has escalated as Israeli forces have begun limited ground incursions, with reports of multiple strikes targeting Hezbollah positions. A Lebanese security official noted that Israel had conducted at least 6 strikes on southern Beirut, prompting evacuations in areas known for Hezbollah activity. Despite calls for de-escalation from the international community, Israeli officials have reaffirmed their commitment to continue operations against Hezbollah, especially following the killing of the group's leader. The ongoing military actions have heightened tensions along the border, with fears that the conflict could spiral into a larger confrontation involving various regional powers. The US has also indicated it is reinforcing its military presence in the area, further complicating the situation. BBC reports on the harrowing situation of a Belfast mother, Catherine Flanagan, who fears for her son David, a toddler trapped in Lebanon amidst escalating violence. David was taken by his father, Dr. Mustafa Ali Nal, during a trip to Beirut in 2022, and despite a UK court ruling demanding his return, Dr. Nal refuses to comply, asserting custody rights granted by a Lebanese court. As the conflict intensifies between Israel and Hezbollah, Catherine's anxiety grows. She has not seen or spoken to David in over a year and is haunted by the thought of her son celebrating his 3rd birthday in a war zone. She criticizes the Foreign Office for their lack of communication and action, feeling that her son's rights as a British citizen are being ignored, while Dr. Nal claims to have safety measures in place for David. The Independent highlights the dire situation in Beirut as the Israeli military issues evacuation orders following airstrikes targeting Hezbollah positions in the city's southern suburbs. Reports indicate multiple explosions and the urgency for residents to flee as Israeli forces prepare for a potential ground incursion into Lebanon. The escalating military actions have caused widespread panic among civilians, many of whom are struggling to find safe passage out of the area. The situation has prompted the UK government to charter flights for British nationals wishing to leave Lebanon, emphasizing the volatile nature of the conflict and the urgency for citizens to evacuate before commercial options diminish. As tensions rise, both Israeli and Hezbollah leaders prepare for further confrontations, with the threat of an expanding conflict looming over the region. Australian Broadcasting Corporation provides a preview of the upcoming vice presidential debate between Tim Walz and J.D. Vance, two relatively low-profile politicians vying for a significant role in the U.S. election. As both candidates prepare for their first televised debate, they aim to resonate with voters in Middle America, contrasting their backgrounds and political personas. Walz, a former congressman and current governor of Minnesota, faces scrutiny over his military history and handling of past riots, while Vance, a senator and author, has made headlines for controversial statements and his ties to conservative policies. The debate is expected to focus on their contrasting visions and strategies, with both candidates likely to attack each other's records. As the election approaches, this debate could play a pivotal role in shaping public perception and influencing undecided voters. Australian Broadcasting Corporation reports that massive explosions reverberated throughout Beirut as the Israeli military intensified its operations against Hezbollah in southern suburbs, signaling the potential for an imminent ground invasion. This escalation follows the U.S. confirmation of Israel conducting limited ground operations aimed at dismantling Hezbollah's infrastructure. The situation remains tense as the region braces for further developments, with updates being closely monitored in real time. According to the South China Morning Post, the international community is mounting pressure on the Taliban to uphold women's rights, with several Western nations, including the Netherlands and Canada, taking the group to the International Court of Justice for Gender Discrimination. This unprecedented legal move highlights the dire circumstances Afghan women face under Taliban rule, where millions have been denied education, work, and basic freedoms. Despite the Taliban's oppressive regime, the court's jurisdiction remains uncertain, as the group is not widely recognized as Afghanistan's legitimate government. Nonetheless, the hope is that a ruling could deter other nations from legitimizing the Taliban's authority. The New York Times outlines the Israeli military's recent announcement of a limited ground invasion into southern Lebanon, targeting Hezbollah's military infrastructure. This marks Israel's first incursion into Lebanon in nearly 2 decades, as troops were deployed to eliminate threats posed to northern Israeli communities. While the operation is said to be narrow and tactical, there are concerns it could escalate into a larger conflict, particularly with thousands of additional troops positioned at the border. American officials have indicated they believe the incursion will remain limited, with plans for a quick withdrawal following the operation. Australian Broadcasting Corporation reports that Qatar Airways is set to acquire a 25% stake in Virgin Australia, following an agreement with the airline's owner, Bain Capital. This strategic partnership, pending approval from the Foreign Investment Review Board, is expected to enhance Virgin Australia's competitive edge in the aviation market, potentially leading to better choices and lower fares for consumers. Virgin Australia aims to introduce flights from major Australian cities to Doha by mid-2025, contingent on regulatory approvals. The collaboration will involve a wet lease arrangement, allowing Qatar Airways to temporarily bolster Virgin's capacity. Despite previous setbacks, including a blocked request for additional flights into Australia, Qatar Airways remains optimistic, with projections indicating that Virgin's long-haul services could inject $3 billion into the Australian economy over 5 years. Virgin Australia, which faced bankruptcy during the pandemic but was rescued by Bain Capital, has since reduced its international routes, making this partnership a crucial step in its recovery and growth strategy. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.
Waking up to wonder second nature blunders. Got our rockets flying while the